All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our, oh my God, hold on. 230 something. I don't know.
233.
233. I can't, it's on the next slide. I didn't want to jump forward yet. Hey, just a reminder, Drawing Hive is brought to you from Visual Arts Passage. Big week for us. Still getting ready to start the semester this Saturday, our winter semester. So any last minute takers, jump in. We offer resources, mentorships for people that are trying to develop careers in illustration, fine artists, and we actually have a new viz dev direction we're going in too. So check us out. Tonight, there we are, 233, animals that don't look real. And I sent Timmy a message of what would be good for the week and any suggestions, and we both said, hey, let's keep it lighthearted, and animals was the topic, and then he came back with something, was how about ones that are really odd and that don't, are kind of unbelievable looking. And that was it was an interesting to chase them. So here's what we got. We have the axolotl.
Axolotl. Yeah.
Axolotl, and I guess it is a Mexican salamander, kind of.
Kind of.
Well, it's kind of
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, that's what I meant. The
Yeah.
dingo, which is like a
It's a tree kangaroo.
tree kangaroo. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting animal. Um, the golden lion, the tamarin. Um, all of these are great references. Oh, they're really fun. I had a really fun time choosing these things, really fun things to draw. In the last one, the okapi, and it is an interesting, is it zebra? Is it horse?
Part of the giraffe family.
Yep.
Looks
Man,
like
you
it.
know your stuff.
Kind of in my bandwagon, John.
Yeah, I guess so.
But she can dress them too.
It's the posterior. It's the shape of the posterior that gives away the giraffe thing.
Yep.
And the neck.
Yep. A very cool
Anyways.
looking animal. What I love about this one is the design of it. The pose of it is fantastic.
Beautiful silhouette.
So
Right.
we're ready to draw. So let's get drawn.
Yeah,
And-
please post your work throughout the night. We always share it to Instagram. If in the caption you use the hashtags Drawing Hive, hashtag Drawing Hive 233 and have Visual Arts Passage, we're gonna check out all the art at the end of the night. Looking forward to it. This is gonna be a fun one. I think the axolotl is gonna win. I think it's gonna be the most popular one.
I don't know. Gonna be
Oh.
Hard to say.
It's a good challenge. They're all fun. I'm actually doing the last one, the okapi.
Yeah.
But we're doing, again, just I didn't really say that. So let's start drawing, but there's going to be 3 poses, two 20-minute poses and one 40-minute pose. Draw them
Oh,
all.
sorry, cut you off.
That's okay. Draw them all or stick with one, whatever you want to do.
Yep, and I will drop a link to the reference if if this is your first time joining us or you don't know where it is, I'll drop that in the chat and we'll be set. We'll be cooking.
All right. And Timmy, I hope for your sake that one of these little Mexican salamander guys is not in the chat because you'll be busy.
Are they
They axolotl questions.
Oh my god.
I knew it. I saw that one coming from a mile away.
Walked right into it, right?
I have to make
we
that
got-
joke like once every 3 years. I don't miss that opportunity.
Well, it only presents itself.
That's what I mean. It's like,
often.
yeah.
Did you know that they have an amazing ability to regenerate like almost everything? Like organs, limbs. They can grow
Their
back the
entire
same.
body.
They can grow back the same limb 5 times.
Their entire body looks like it's been regenerated, though.
I'm also thinking now, if you met an axolotl that had a missing leg, you'd be like, this guy's got some stories.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Right? You're like, whoa, let me tell you about the first 5 times I lost it, but number 6, whew,
It has to be a contender for the most Pokemon animal.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely in the top 10.
Like when before we kicked off live, Adam, my kids had popped into the room. Both my daughters were like, Oxalotl! They got so excited.
Yeah. I thought obviously platypus was a little too on the nose. Everybody seemed
Proboscis
a mile away.
monkeys would be funny too. They have like those really big noses.
Yeah.
Mhm. John, I think we're at our, well, no, the audience is still going. We're going to wait a minute before we start the educational segment. But probably 5 minutes.
Okay, that's good.
Um,
I'm doing something that relates to that, and I would have been fine if I didn't put this like brushstroke on right when you said that. Like, I need a few minutes.
You're like, oh,
I was like, damn. It's like just putting your foot in the
no.
water.
No. The axolotl is also really primed for a children's book. Is there an axolotl children's book? I bet there is.
Oh yeah.
Must be right. But is it,
People have probably scavenged all the children's book animals, like, you know.
there, it's I think with them too, it's a little bit like celebrity portraits too, where like, you want to have the original one, but you don't want it so original that everyone goes, well, no one's gonna know what that is.
Mm.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, people didn't care about capybaras yet.
It's just so sad.
Yeah. My brothers and I were like the only weirdos in town who knew what a capybara was, and were like all about them.
Okay, I know what it is now. See, I didn't know what it was.
It's the world's
It's like
largest rodent.
It's just like a gigantic guinea pig.
Yeah, it's the original ROUS.
Yeah, exactly. They're so cute.
3 days ago, a New Yorker. No, never mind. I don't know why the New York Times is reporting on it. A person was attacked by one.
I
By
saw
a
that
capybara?
Yeah.
Capybara, really?
in the water, right?
Yeah, I hope
I
they're
saw that.
okay. They're much bigger than I expected.
They're-
Even from the photos, I see it next to a person, and you're like, whoa. You're like, the first one, I was just like, oh, it's like a small dog.
Right.
No, in the video, it's not a small dog. It's quite a large, aggressive dog in the shape of a giant rat.
Maybe it attacked the guy because he said that to it.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to be more like a small dog, but you're like
a lot. You're a lot.
Oxalot.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
I'm gonna open up the chat to everyone. I didn't say this last week, but when you do use the chat, you have the option to choose between hosts and panelists and everyone. Please toggle it to everyone, unless you're complaining about the show, in which case just host and panelists is fine. Or just maybe link and letter it to yourself.
Yeah, or you wish we were talking about football more.
Yeah. Let us know where you're tuning in from, or where you're drawing from in the chat.
Yeah, I would love to see where everybody is.
Oh, a couple new people. Fun.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. This is an animal episode. You're here. If this is your first time on an animal episode is a rare special moment. We don't do animal episodes often. Yeah. It's usually a direct reflection about how John and I feel at any time. It's the comfort food of Drawing Hive.
It really is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's also maybe how we think
Yeah.
everybody else is feeling too.
Yeah. A lot of people from California. Hope you're doing okay. We don't need to dig into it, but hope you're okay. Cool. What's everybody working with tonight? Cassandra, I see you've got your tried and true sponsorship.
Yeah, they sent me new markers. I think they heard me last time. So I got these cool new dual tip paint markers that I'm trying out.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
we'll see how it goes.
Grabby markers just on the permanent free ride status to Drawing Hive.
Yeah, like you send me art supplies, I will use them. I
Yeah.
love art supplies.
Yeah, Adam, what's the tool
Right
you're
now I've just got like
working
a really dark lead in a lead holder.
on? Uh-huh.
And I'm probably going to be throwing some gouache at it and maybe some ink and some kitchen sink elements.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be you if there wasn't a kitchen sink in there.
Right. That's
And then John, I'll hold off because I'm assuming that that's going to be a bit of your
Well,
challenge.
no, I can go forward.
Ready? You want
I
your
can
theme
kinda
song
stop.
now?
No,
You ready?
I was just going to say before I change screens is the silhouette, just the shape of that in flat, dark shape. Um, remember that. The reason I'm working in acrylics on a primed acrylic piece of masonite, and then I'm going to put other materials on top of it. But that's kind of uh, I did a drawing and I painted it just flat acrylic, not very flat, kind of transparent, and I'll build it up a little bit more. But remember that it's part of what I'm going to talk about. So
All right.
you can chime me in. All right, I got to go back to full screen here. It didn't do it. Here, wait a second. All right, good deal. Sorry about that. Tonight, we start with last week. We had a good talk. What did we talk about, Cassandra? How we start either with creating a drawing and maintaining it all the way through, or building,
Building as you go.
yeah, drawing through the process is I think what I referred to it. And so this week, what goes with that and what makes that work in either direction, I think, is this, and that's understanding shape design and understanding how to control the shapes in your picture. A lot of it involves value control. But look at this. These are Gwen John paintings, which I think she was one of the great painters. Absolutely love these paintings. Um, the uh, the value control, the amount of uh, organization by letting value describe the shape of it. And this is a, and then such consideration to really beautiful shapes on the picture plane, how it's broken up. So there's Gwen John. There's this guy who knows a little bit about shape design.
Just a touch, just a
Look,
scotch.
look at that cow. I mean, just study that thing for a minute. It's unbelievable. I love how the drawing and the simplification and breaking it up in its shape, just gorgeous. Um, but this is someone that really, if you want to learn about composition and you want to study some of these are really good artists to look at for understanding composition. And this is somebody who pushes, who's abstracting his shapes, abstracting human and all forms, furniture, rooms, exteriors, interiors. He's always bringing a twist to it, but sells it so beautifully. Another great shape designer is Dean Cornwell.
Oh man, yeah.
oh wow, yeah.
Now this is really the same, identifying the same things that the other two artists were identifying, but bringing a much more painterly, representational paint quality to it. And fantastic mid-century American illustrator, early to mid-century. And by the way, Gary Kelly is still alive and still working, one of the great illustrators from I would say from the mid 80s to, current time. Beautiful, beautiful work. And there's one more. And I put this in here because I think this is so relevant for tonight, and it's so much about shape.
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah.
And um, somebody that really depended on uh, his process of designing a little, doing a little two-inch square or whatever the proportions were of a little black and white thumbnail, and designing his shapes in this little thumbnail, and most of the time drawing with in this case, he was probably had multiple references that he was looking at. I don't know where he would find a photograph of a winged Pegasus over there on the left, but so much of this is out of his imagination and just getting the shape right, um, and the interest of shape on the picture plane. Really, really consider. I said this the other day. A picture is a collection of shapes, and these are all people that artists that really understood this well and demonstrated it in their work all the time. Now, the silhouette, the power of the silhouette, the picture on the left, a light horse, that light Pegasus against a mid-tone or darker background. Look at how broken up in the bottom, how, not really kind of abstracted. He's fairly true to the shape of a horse, but it definitely has drawn with character. It's not anatomically correct, but it feels right. But look how just jumping materials and values and textures and mark making on top of the horse to get that interest. But what he didn't lose is the silhouette. It still reads. The shape still reads. And it's a really great lesson if you can remember that and approach that way. If you can maintain the silhouette, you can get away with really wild mark making and bringing a lot of texture and interest to your piece. But it's all about value control to do that. He's made the decision. This is a light horse against a dark background. The middle one is predominantly a light horse, but the counter changes with some very dark areas. And the counter changes to what it's, the dark head versus the light body against the midtone. This reads as a dark against light. This reads as a light against dark. The body does. The bull on the right is, dark against light. But the silhouette form, and the next thing that goes with this, if you're thinking this way, when you learn to think this way, oh, I forgot I had this one in there. Beautiful Andrew Wyeth.
Yes.
And I put this one in there just because of the value control, just the local color, local value. I'll explain that a little bit more. But picking, I have a couple slides for it, but picking a value that allows you to describe the entire figure, it's cohesive in its value, and it's a dark against a midtone or a light. Just absolutely beautiful. So well done. Okay, shape design. In shape design, having a good shape is extremely important. Something that's an interesting shape. All of this reference I chose tonight, that's what I was looking for. I wanted to have good lighting, and that's something that we've discussed before. That lighting, having form explained with lighting is very, very important. But then having an interesting shape itself is extremely important. And then how much information can just be in the silhouette shape itself? I mean, that's a silhouette. You can see that's a silhouette of a man, but it has a narrative to it because of the way he's dressed, the chair he's sitting in, his haircut, all of that. It says something about the individual, and it explains itself really well. This is going from left to right. This is like on the left. I mean, it's obvious. We're going to get to the one on the right. These are silhouettes of a rubber duck. The one on the left is shot from above, and it doesn't look anything like a rubber duck. It's a terrible silhouette of a duck shape. The one in the middle kind of gets you there, but the one on the right is an amazing explanation of a silhouetted rubber duck, what it would look like. The one on the right requires no modeling or rendering to say what it is. The one in the middle is probably going to need a little bit of explanation of, maybe you can see some rendering that explains the, the bill or whatever it is. The one on the right, or excuse me, the left, is going to take an extreme amount of rendering and will probably never read very quickly as a duck. So your posing becomes very important to you when you're thinking about the shapes that go into your pictures. Also think about the type of work you want to do. If you want to do things that have that are very aggressive in their mark making and don't have a lot of rendering to them, then you have to really think about the shapes explaining themselves well, and it will determine how you approach your piece. You have to, as an illustrator, you have to think that way all the time. So anyway, I think this is uh, really helpful when you're trying to decide the objects in your picture, what the makeup of your picture, and how things read. And always remember, the better the silhouette in its explanation, the less work you're going to have to do to describe what it is. Local color, local value. Pretty much same blue shirt all the way through. That mid-tone, that local color of this shirt. If you put a light behind it, it becomes a dark. If you put a dark behind it, it becomes a light. And understanding how objects read, is this going to be a light thing against a dark background, or a dark thing against a light background, or a combination like that horse that I showed you, that it's going to be a cohesive silhouette. And many times especially when you're working in 3-value thumbnail at the beginning of a piece, I'll be looking at student work or my own work, and like, this doesn't describe it. So like, you can see it right here. It doesn't describe itself well because you have such high contrast in one object. It's so dark and so light, it's making multiple shapes. So if you want to control your shapes, you control your value, and you shoot for a local color, local value. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. Cassandra, that's kind of your world in the way that you approach, and I can see it in your design, Adam, also. I just, if you have anything else you want to say about this, please chime in.
That was actually really good. I mean, it was really good. It was actually really good. I mean, expected to be really
I
good.
surprised you and did something that made sense.
This concept, though, that you're talking about was revolutionary for me. Like, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
you guys taught me it, and it made the difference between so much more work and being able to move ahead and focus on other aspects of the piece. Because learning, it feels like a shortcut, but really it's simplifying your process so that you can make an even better piece. By having a good silhouette, you can, like you were mentioning, you can do whatever the heck you want because the silhouette tells so much of the story. If you're not having a good silhouette, you have to work really hard to explain yourself. And so you get away from interesting opportunities in your painting because you have to explain so much.
Yeah, I was definitely like the one that spoke to me most as like a student. There was like, I was like the king of the take the worst angle to draw the rubber duck from, and then think that it was like a personal challenge as opposed to an unwinnable war, that even if you got it, it wasn't a good picture.
Yep.
Like even
It
if you
wasn't.
make it look like a duck, you still have made the least interesting picture you can out of it. And you're requiring so much of your audience to come along, you're never going to get to the point of communicating, what the point of your picture is.
The visual I always try to describe is, imagine playing the game Pictionary and you have to draw a bicycle. And if you
Mhm.
get the brilliant idea of drawing the bicycle coming straight at you, you're going to lose, because it's not going to look like a bicycle at all. If you turn it to a profile, you draw 2 circles and put a bar in between, everybody's going to say bicycle immediately. and as an illustrator, fast communication of getting, being a visual storyteller, that's part of it. And being able to develop pictures that have a quick read to it. And a lot of it is the objects in your piece explaining themselves well.
Yeah.
You mentioned the bicycle, and through my entire childhood, I would look at those bicycle playing cards and try to figure out why there was a little baby operating a jackhammer on them.
I remember your dad calling me out on like choosing the complicated way, and he just like walked by and he was like, why would you pick the hard way? Like you could
Right.
I was trying to be dynamic, and I was trying to do this angle of looking at a scene from over the head of a horse. And he was like, you're going to spend all your time explaining that horse if you just turn it to the side, and then you can go on to making a more interesting scene. And I was like, oh, so like this logic just it just slapped me outside the face, and I was like, right. So yeah, that makes way more
Yeah.
sense than what I'm attempting here.
And it's funny, what you sometimes need is you need permission, almost like as a student, you can almost feel like you need permission to do something in the easiest, most effective, quickly communicating way.
Mm-hmm.
Because you
Mm-hmm.
almost think like, well, if I do it the hard way, I don't know. What do you do? I'm taking up more time, but it seems like it's got its own reward.
Right.
Well, I'm looking at both your pieces on either side of my very vague horse there, and look at the power of the silhouette.
Well, and you've got a beautiful silhouette on your copy there.
You know, it's funny is I almost didn't do this guy because his silhouette almost felt like cheating, which
It
I'm
was
only admitting that thought process because it's so relevant to what we were just saying about ourselves.
I'm avoiding using my hair dryer, but I think I'm going to have to use it. So
Use it. Use it.
if Cassandra can use it, so can I.
Yeah, I always use it.
Someone asked, how can I prevent drawing my picture too large so it doesn't fit on the page? I'm trying to get the shapes and proportions right. But I have a hard time determining the right size, like right out the gate.
Ooh.
What do you do when you start?
That's a tough one.
Make a mark at the top and bottom of how big you want your thing to be, and then do some basic division in between. So like in this guy's case, his chin is about halfway through his top to bottom length in the reference. So if I decide that he's going to go up to here and he's going to go down to here, a line in the middle tells me how to proportion his head to that space. It's the shame of it is that it feels like, Drawing Hive should be your math-free space, your safe space away from that kind of thing. And I just ruined it for you. But really just deciding where you want the top and bottom to be, and doing the basic math of that.
It's tough though. I mean, honestly, it also just really takes practice. Like I'm barely keeping this guy on my page here. I'm hitting the edge there because I gave more room for the top of the head. And honestly, it's just like sometimes like you can make an effort. The more you draw it, the more you're going to be aware of the space that you need for something. So when I'm doing a painting, I do multiple drawings before I start so that I make sure that I'm within the right parameters that it needs to be. So some of it is just like luck that you started in the right spots. But the rest is just you're practicing a lot and you're getting used to it.
I like the luck thing.
Yeah, I always think there's a huge part of drawing that kind of comes down to like aim, right? Like our eyes can tell if we're doing something right, and whether or not your hand holding this object hit the right spot on the page sometimes is the deciding factor in whether you drew it right, which seems kind of unfair, doesn't it? But but it's like the thing that comes with, I remember like, I still remember like days where I sat down to draw and something came out right when I was in a hurry and it registered to me. I was like, oh, weird. I think my aim is better. Like, like the marks that I put down in a panic just happened to be where I thought I was going to make them, which had like never happened to me in my life before. You know, and it was probably like it was on a year where I was just doing lots and lots and lots of drawing, and it didn't dawn on me that by doing that I might actually get that there was this other factor that I might just get better at.
Right.
You also might be like on a roll.
Right, right.
It might just be, oh, it's one of the, which you see that in the NBA all the time. Like it's just it was their night, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you don't want to quit, right?
Right, right. I just keep going until
Like,
I actually do screw something up then.
yeah.
Yeah. Until I get into
Do
that.
you do like do you do like a Steph Curry heat check and then it just blows up? You're like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not that
Right,
on
right.
fire.
Oh yeah, it's like I think that's the thing. When you're on fire, you can kind of forget that it's probably because there's a reason you're on fire.
Yeah.
And so the next time you sit down to just be a genius, you go realize that you're not a genius. You were just practicing a lot the last time you thought you were a genius.
Yeah.
Like the process always makes me feel like a genius, which then leads me to try to do something in a hurry, skipping parts of my process, which then remind me that I'm not actually a genius.
Yeah. Yeah. It's humbling, right?
I can have moments where you're in the zone, in the pocket, and you're just like, I'm a groundbreaking thinker. and then like, you know, you lock your keys in your car. You're
Right.
just like, oh.
I
Oh yeah,
think I
no.
told you about the story about the time my friend and I were like canoeing on the Delaware, and we saw this kayak goes past us that was empty, and then behind it are like these two kids in life jackets just floating and bobbing in the water holding their paddles. And so we paddle up and we get them and we like haul them. I think maybe one of them we got into our canoe, one of them we got to hang on to it, and then we saw their dad was way like back on a rock where was trying to figure out where they were.
Yeah, not a good dad look.
Like we paddled upstream through like rapids to get
Yeah.
to the dad, and we drop the kids off on this rock where he is, and then we go and we get the kayak and we bring that back upstream to them. And we're just feeling like, man, look at us. We just did this heroic act that, you know, was beyond what you're supposed to be able to do in, you know, the fast part of the Delaware. We go back out,
Yeah.
we're paddling, and the next stretch of water we hit, the nose of the canoe just took this little dip over like a bit of white water, splashed into the canoe, which tipped it further. The canoe just filled with water and sank to the bottom of the Delaware.
Oh my God.
Like seconds after we had just rescued these two children, who then went kayaking past us as we were bobbing in our life vests. And we're like, saving us, mister.
Did they didn't stop and save you?
No, they didn't stop and save us.
That's that if that had happened to my dad, so if my dad had taken us and you saved the Trayvon boys, my dad would have been like, they were totally fine. We didn't need you. I don't need you meddling in my fatherhood. Let my boys be boys.
Right. I would like
Gotta
my dad
learn.
back now.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't need any helicopter, secondary passenger seat helicopter parenting. Adam, somebody asked what you've changed mediums. What are you working with now?
Okay, so that was I said I was gonna maybe use ink, but I wound up using this this tin of water soluble graphite someone got me years ago, which I don't think that's really what it is. Because I can't understand what water soluble graphite would actually be, especially if it was like red and brown and yellow. But it's basically like a glorified watercolor palette of earth tones and black. So I've used the black there, and then I've used white gouache.
Cool. Everybody, we need to move on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's okay. Then I was just gonna take like a reddish colored pencil and add something to his little antennae things.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. We need to move on to that next image. So you can stop what you're drawing now and get ready for pick. Really, honestly, do whatever you want. Follow your heart, but draw that second image. It's nice to do the 20, 20, 45. Post what you've done so far to Instagram with hashtag Drawing Hive, hashtag Drawing Hive 233, and have Visual Arts Passage. We're gonna check it out at the end of the episode. It's my favorite part, and I also am just excited to see all these animals. And I do think I keep forgetting how to say it. The
Axolotl.
Axolotl. The Axolotl. The only way I'll ever be able to get it is just by I just think of axolot.
I'm here to help.
Yeah.
Timmy, what I thought was funny is I went to the site to learn how to pronounce them all before, and everybody instantly knew how to pronounce it better than I did when I
Yeah.
was practicing before we started, and I realized everybody knows about this already.
Well, you know what it is? It's one of those words where the worst thing you can do to pronounce it is look at how it's spelled.
Oh, completely.
Well,
Yeah.
Completely.
just to show you, I wrote them out phonetically
There you go.
right here so that I could.
Nice. and then when
I still screwed it up.
I was gonna say, when we went live, didn't you say, I don't even know how the axolotl?
I just did it really slow. Well, I couldn't find my piece of paper after I wrote.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like, guys, you had no confidence for given the preparation. You're like, I don't know. That's funny. Yeah, they're pretty strange. Pretty strange animals, pretty strange names. This is a dumb question, and it's this is one of those. I've begun the question. I'm like, man, it would have been nice if my mic was just off. It would have saved me this. Why aren't words just all spelled? What would happen? What chaos would we live in if words were just spelled the way they sound?
You know what? It's funny you say that because my kids, like I know your wife teaches dual immersion. My kids are in dual immersion and the other language is Spanish. And so it's easier for them to learn to read in Spanish. So they actually learned Spanish first because it's all
Okay.
about being phonetical. Like
Uh-huh.
Korean's the same way. Like it,
Really?
yeah, the way that if you're using the like English letters for spelling or or you learn the Korean
Okay.
alphabet, but it's all about phonetical. So like we are not an easy language in that way.
Okay. I for sure thought there was gonna be some like really obvious dumb reason that doesn't work.
No, we
Okay.
just break all the rules.
You know,
It's kind of like it's kind of like the metric system with us.
Mhm.
It's like that.
I was thinking about this the other
Things.
day, and I think the one to stick up for English for a second is I think we've got so many rules because so many of our words, they just come from everybody else's languages. So we took their rules too.
Yeah.
So like when you've got the Italians rules and the Germans rules and French rules all in your language,
Right.
you're going to do some contradictory things.
You're gonna have a mishmash.
Yeah.
Oh no, I on the topic of, you mentioned Italian, for my Italian interview for citizenship, I was like, I'm gonna start the interview off nice. I'm gonna say ciao. And I thought they're immediately gonna ramble off in Italian, and then I'm gonna have to be like, no. It's not one of those interviews. And someone was like, no, just say ciao. They know they're gonna know you don't speak Italian. And I said ciao, and it was like da 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 da. I was like, oh, okay, great. So shameful.
That just means you said ciao really well.
Perhaps. You know how if you're in France and you really want people, like you can speak no French, right? But if you just say way instead of we, they will immediately think you speak French. Just all you gotta say is way, and they'll be like, oh, clearly you're a Frenchman. Nobody says we. It's very uncommon, or it's not very uncommon. It's just not, it's kind of weird.
It's like saying, what's up?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like that. It's wrong to say that nobody says it. It's just, yeah. Certainly young people don't say it that often. Did you guys all take languages in school?
Yeah, and I took French. I wish I took Spanish.
I
And
really
my
wish I took.
French teacher was like, "Well, at least you can draw."
What a consolation prize.
Yeah.
Peter Sellers got me through high school French.
Oh my God, I took French too. You never meet
What?
other French students. What are the odds of 3 French? John, what did you take? Did you take German?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good for art history reasons. They were kind of the first art historians.
I had somebody tell me that it was the easiest language to learn, so I took.
Yeah. Nice.
And it helps, it makes your opera singing easier, I think.
There you go. That's what John's 2
Yeah,
priorities
that's what
were.
I always think of when I think of John.
John was like, nice, it's easy, and it's going to help my opera career.
Bonus.
Little do you guys know.
Yeah, right.
Bring it.
That would be awesome. We'd
We
start
did-
an opera
we
school
had one
so fast.
one of our guest instructors sing to us one time. One of they had Tom Blackshear sang the Monster Mash for Halloween
Every single lyric. It was fantastic.
when he did that when he was doing his demonstration of Frankenstein.
It was very
Also, nowhere near Halloween, which made
It
it
was-
better.
it was strangely brave.
Yeah.
Because it's a shockingly long song.
It is.
Right. And if you
That's
skip
what
a verse,
amused me.
You
He
skip
went through
anything,
it.
the
He went
narrative's
through
not
it went through the course 3 times.
Yeah, he did every verse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Nobody joined in to
Well,
support.
they wouldn't hear us, in the crowd. We could all
Right.
just sing along.
Yeah. All right.
Somebody said I love seeing all the materials, and I'm a cheap artist and never moved past the Ticonderoga pencil. And I just want to say, I still use them. And I love the big fat ones because my kids have it for school, and it's my favorite pencil. So yeah, you don't need fancy materials. You can see I use it all the time because it's all like tinted and stuff. So keep using those cheap materials. You can still do awesome stuff with it.
We're pretty big fans of cheap materials.
I paint on cardboard every week.
Yeah. I mean, when the opportunity calls for it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have some nice materials, but I keep them in Chinese food containers.
Yeah.
I just walk around with General Tso's chicken variety, lunch special containers full of gouache and watercolors and erasers and pencils and
Those beautiful horses you saw that Mark English did, he shops at the hardware store for most
Right.
of his supplies. So, I think there's a lot to be said about like materials can be great and can be helpful, but also you don't necessarily have to have them to define good art or bad art. There's some bad
yeah.
pigment that you don't want to use that I'm mad about. There's some bad art supply companies, but
yeah, I could go on a
that I will say, do not use those.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be a pretty awesome chaos blog post we could do of the 10 materials, not just create enemies, which that is our new branding strategy, chaos, by the way.
Oh, I can name the one that I that
Wow.
I use that made me the maddest.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, Michael's brand paint is just chalk. It's just chalk that they use, and it's horrible. So you can't get a quality warm tone. Like when I was adding white to burnt sienna, it came out purple. It's just don't buy that paint.
This is not a question, but somebody said this in the chat, and I would like to hear y'all maybe just comment on it as a topical statement. Finding my materials and finding my voice were really tied together. What do you all think about that as
No, that does make sense to me. I mean, like from the standpoint that there are some, there are some things that just you think better in,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, then,
Uh,
Of course, it's different for everyone. So if you
Right, right.
if you guys disagree with it, that's okay. I want to say that I won't be.
we have our students like that are really like chasing voice. I always thought it's best to, you have to chase like what you want to say and how you're going to say it, the cognitive aspect of what you're trying to do. And then you got to do a lot of experimentation with materials to find the aesthetic. And
Mhm.
so I think materials have a lot to do with developing voice.
Do you think that that journey of finding your materials, is there science to it, or is it literally just like you just got to work with a bunch of them?
um, somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I actually, the reason I'll agree with that statement is because I actually really wanted to be a watercolorist when I was in undergrad and for a long time, and really struggled. And really it wasn't until I sort of like kind of abandoned that I went, oh, look at me getting better. It wasn't as much as I wanted to do it. It wasn't how I thought, and it wasn't how I built, it wasn't the process by which I sort of like, made little disasters and found pictures out of them.
Everybody, I want to welcome Raymond Bonilla on the panel. We've got almost like half the staff at Visual Arts Passage. All our instructors are here tonight. This is great.
Yay.
Yeah.
Right on time, guys.
So yeah, I was going to say some of us show up on time, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Hey, Raymond,
Hey,
How's
Roy.
everyone doing?
doing well. How are you, man?
Good. I was just enjoying this topic of conversation. I wanted to add, don't avoid Reeves brand of paint.
Yeah.
Reeves brand.
Yeah. Reeves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beast. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's like some cheap paint you can get and it'll totally be fine. And then there's some you can get and you will fight just trying to make basic colors.
No,
Mm.
so many people think they hate gouache because of like Reeves.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm sure Michaels and Reeves make it out of the same like can outside of the factory. Sorry, I'm very
I'm trying to think of like I mean, Cassandra, what's your blog post? It was on acrylics, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you know much about where acrylics like where that a lot of that is manufactured?
I don't know where they're manufactured, but I can tell you some companies, a lot of the things that separates companies and work is just what they bind it with.
Okay.
If you use cheap binders and you use a lot of extra stuff to stuff it full, so it kind of looks like the color is supposed to be, but the minute you start mixing it, you're going to see that it's not doing what you want it to do. And Michael's brand especially was really bad about it. You could tell that they used literal chalk powder as their binder, so you couldn't get good tones.
Because my assumption is that there is I don't know, I should probably not even guess because it's gonna be totally wrong, but that there is the process of this is these companies are purchasing it from a manufacturer and that there probably are duplications off and they're just packaged differently, but they're buying it from the same deal.
Some of them, yeah,
some
totally.
deal with like liquors, like you can get the same whiskey, different brands pretty easily.
Well, that's like Trader Joe's,
Yeah.
they'll use big brands and put it under the private label to sell it cheaper kind of thing.
But I think, like to Adam's point, I mean, Sandra's point, bad materials will also turn you off to a given medium and without you knowing.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend like oodles of money on a professional grade artist materials, but just don't get the cheapest ones. Like if you see like a tube of paint costs $10, one tube of paint, and you look over to your right, 40 of them for the same price, they're not going to be of the same quality.
Right. Like Liquitex, Winsor Newton, their student grade paint is good paint and it is cheaper. It is so like that's a great option if you want to try out some acrylics that are affordable. Like go that direction. You can get sets on sale and that will be a good deal to get and you'll get a good mix with what you're making. But you know, there's some brands that are just like Ray's pointing out that are just so, yeah, Golden's good too. There's some brands that their student set is not good. You don't
Yeah, I
want.
was gonna say there's really no like with anything like that, like materials or like there's definitely no correlation. There's not no correlation, but there's probably a lower correlation than you think with price and actual quality. In my opinion, mainly because the company is going to want to sell it at the price that they think is going to go off the shelf the best, that is also a reasonable profit based on what it costs for them to produce it or like
Mhm.
obtain it. And like the number they land on, it's not like they landed on it because they were like, well, we think it's this good. That actually doesn't have anything to do with the calculation of the sale, which is funny because on the consumer end of it, that's all we think, isn't it?
Mhm.
That's the only variable I think of where I'm like, well, I could spend $5 more on this thing. And hypothetically, maybe this thing will be like 20% better.
You know, it's funny though too, is people will the reverse is you can get people can be so cynical where they, you know, go like, well, the only difference between this one and this one is because these guys are jacking up the price to pretend their thing is good to make money off of you. And you know, if you pick up like a student oil paint even from Winsor Newton and you pick up the exact same color in Old Holland, for instance, that tube of Old Holland is gonna like you'll feel that it weighs twice as much in your hand. I'm not saying you should go out and spend Old Holland level money on your paint, but I'm saying like there's a lot of pigment stuffed in there.
Right.
Right.
And that's
Gamblin student grade is really good too.
right.
Like have you guys heard of lead-in products for like brands where they create like, I guarantee a lot of these like supply companies do it where they'll have a product and they'll make a cheaper option available of it.
Mhm.
And it is exclusively to like lead you to the more expensive product. Like you're more likely to purchase the more expensive product by seeing it compared to a cheap item.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it's like a product that's designed to lose. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Like Apple does that all the time.
Oh yeah, Apple doesn't hardly ever releases a product without doing it.
Yeah.
The I think their most common method is with especially when it was like back in the day with iPods, it was with the space, how many gigs something was. And they would always have a version that was so few gigs, it was like, who would ever buy this thing?
That was the starting price.
Yeah, and that was your starting price. Yeah, totally.
Our new laptop starting at $699. But that
That's
model doesn't have a
affordable.
keyboard.
I do think that
But it doesn't have a keyboard and
Yeah.
one of those things they pull that on you.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, how many buttons you want on this phone?
Yeah.
We
Spend 300
starts
more.
with-
You get the one with the
this
full
phone, this
and,
phone
and an
starts. This phone starts with 10 buttons.
yeah.
You want more buttons? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I worked at a art store for a long time when I was in grad school, so I didn't have to,
Mm-hmm.
pay full price for stuff. So I got to know those brands and everything like that.
Yeah.
And, you can go down rabbit holes with it and spend a bunch of money on stuff. I mean, I just, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, like we're saying, like, student grade paints are fine. They get the job done, especially when you're learning it. Just don't over obsess over it. Like you just don't want you don't want the medium to get in your way. So
Yeah.
spend enough that it doesn't get in. And or just get a solid a brand. I mean, heck, even the Blick brands, Utrecht.
Right. Yeah. Blick and Utrecht were always actually pretty good as far as their store brands went.
I just got mad at Utrecht's set. They, they made it seem like you were getting a set of basic colors that you could then make most colors with, and they did a weird thing where the blue they included was a cerulean blue.
Oh yeah, no, right. That's the thing. Sets I noticed that about sets too. And
Like,
like,
don't do that. If someone's just learning, don't give them cerulean blue with a cadmium red light. Like, that's
right.
mean.
Yeah.
You
So
can make
if
all
you
the
if
grades you
you're
want.
if you're new to painting, like giving someone a cerulean blue and a cadmium red medium, like red plus blue should be purple. So you should be able to make a purple. But if they're putting those together, you're gonna get like muddy brown. You're not gonna get a purple. So you're gonna think that there's something wrong with your ability to mix, and there's nothing wrong with you. It's they gave you the wrong combo. And so that I just that to me was like, that's mean. Don't do that.
Like I would always recommend say like the Winsor Newton like Cotman set for like starting out watercolors. But you have to be careful because they don't guarantee which blue is in your set.
Ooh, yeah.
And when they say cerulean blue, it's not really cerulean blue because cerulean blue is cobalt stannate and it's really, really expensive. So it's always some combination. If it says cobalt blue or cerulean, it's just ultramarine and phthalo mixed together.
Yeah, it's a hue version of the
Right. But that's what that the student ones are almost always going to be a hue.
right.
You know, because you didn't spend $30 on the tube.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like those pigments are just expensive because they're rare. They're more rare.
Yeah.
Mm.
You could see. I mean, I remember I was at a buddy of mine that had brought just a set of Michael Harding oil paints.
Oh.
Mhm.
He was showing me some. I just saw his palette, and I was like, "What are these things? How the vibrance?" And I was like, "How much did you spend on these tubes of paint? Because they are incredible." There is, like we said, like there's in a lot of cases like that. If you get a good quality paint, they're not going to be cheap, and you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Right. And those like the Michael Harding, that's something that once you're painting a lot, you're going to notice a difference in pigment and then it's worth the investment. But if
Right.
you don't know and and you won't see the difference, then it's definitely not worth your money.
No, I don't think so. Especially if you just don't know anything about. You're not familiar with painting in general. It's like don't even bother. You don't know what you're missing, and you don't know what you have.
Then enjoy not knowing. Like don't worry about it. Like maybe
Right.
down the road, then think about it.
Yeah, get the sample sets that they have like in the art stores.
Hmm.
Most often they'll have sample one test.
The only trouble with that is, like we were kind of insinuating before, it puts you into the trial of error of good cheap brand, bad cheap brand, good cheap brand, bad cheap brand. But generally, if you buy cheap paint and you discover that you start to think that you really hate acrylics or you really hate oils or you really hate fill in the blank, there's a good chance that you just bought a bad one and it's not the
Yeah,
medium's fault.
yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
And also, I mean, like when we were talking about like finding yourself through your medium. A lot of it has to do also with how to go about experimenting, understanding fundamentals. Like people used to uh, tell me to experiment, and it wasn't until like I went to grad school and had my mentors like Bill Mon and Craig Nelson and a whole bunch of people actually show me how to draw and paint that I realized like what experimenting was.
Yeah, that was huge for me, having people actually show what that means.
Yeah. So like I used to hate acrylics and didn't understand oil paints at all. It was like, nope, not for me. but I just didn't understand painting, like the fundamentals. That was really what the problem was. No, so it had nothing to do with like I made like acrylics wasn't the reason why I made the heads on my figures too big,
Right.
right? Or my eyes were always cross-eyed. Figure I had paintings, nothing to do with that.
I want to just cut in and remind everybody, if this is your first time drawing with us or you're new to the Hive, this is sponsored by Visual Arts Passage. And if you don't know what Visual Arts Passage is, we specialize in education. We're an online art school that offers classes that are career driven for people that are interested in fine arts like commercial gallery work, painting, and illustration. As John mentioned earlier, we have a visual development program that we're starting, and the the backbone of our school is that we give students an opportunity, artists an opportunity to really connect with people who have mastered their skills in these fields, who have found ways to make thriving careers, and have the ability to pass on those insights, pass on some of that wisdom, and kind of act as a guiding light or compass um, towards making those dreams and those things a reality. So our courses start this weekend. Tomorrow is the last day to sign up. We have classes that are all about skill development. We have ideation and visual storytelling for the illustration program. It's all about how to come up with better, more consistent ideas for your work in a conceptual way that is problem solving and can basically allow you to thrive with working with art directors, with teams, or just yourself. And then ultimately, every course, every program that we offer points you in the direction of building a portfolio or body of work that can just make doing what you want to do a reality. And we have a large group of students this next semester. Everybody's dream is a little different, and your journey to that dream it's a custom tailored experience. This is not the puppy mill of art schools. There are a lot of those out there. It's a small, intimate school where you're going to have a real relationship with your teacher. Their first question for you is going to be, what do you want to do? And then everything after that, it's all about getting to that X marks the spot. It's how do we make it so what you want to do is what you wake up and do every day. Everybody's like art journey towards that career, it starts with, in my opinion, a bit of a bet, a commitment to basically saying, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to make an investment, and I'm going to take this chance or immerse myself in a community or just make that shift to I'm focusing all my energy on making this happen. And I'm really proud of what our community of Visual Arts Passage does to foster that. All these teachers are here tonight. They just love talking about art. They love passing the torch on. It's the coolest thing to see, like Adam, Ray, Cassandra, John. I mean, they just love teaching. And so our classes are not like this event. This is more like a podcast. The classes are very personalized, very intimate Zoom calls where essentially you're going to be attending lectures, demonstrations, you'll get assignments, and most importantly, you're going to get hands-on feedback that is custom tailored to kind of how you've expressed what you want to do. So we're very much, as far as schools go, I think of ourselves as kind of a compass where you choose the destination and we help you get there. And I'm really excited for this next semester. We've got a killer lineup of guest speakers. Ravina Kai is an amazing cover artist. Rainier Giannis, who's a Drawing Hive previous guest, is coming in. Amazing painter and gallery artist. Vanessa Del Rey in comics. Wesley Burt, another character designer, does the biggest. I mean, Wesley and Carl Ortiz, both guest speakers next semester. Both of them, they're celebrity character designers. They're awesome. They're the coolest. They do all the big stuff with Marvel. Tons of other stuff as well. And then also David Dibble, amazing fine artist and concept artist that Ray hooked us up with. So that's my spiel. It is an incredible resource. You can still sign up. If you do have questions, you can call the school. There is no other school that performs at our level at our price. That is that. One other thing I will say is there's no other school that performs at our level where you can get on the phone with the owners of it within an hour. John and I are always available to any student. And we are always happy, and it's because we really care about the artists that come here. So if you're thinking about, placing that bet on yourself, or like really committing to that thing that you've been maybe postponing or trying to figure out how to tackle it or chase it, just the one thing I would say, even if you don't do it with us, do it as soon as possible. Don't wait. That is always but the one message I want to say is like, I don't even care if you do it with us. Do it with someone soon. Don't wait. All right.
But do it with us.
But I mean, it'd be nice if you did it with us. I personally think your money would be best spent with us, but I think the most tragic thing is you don't do it. So that's my message. And then John says, but do it with us. John, that's really fun. You're bringing a lot of color into that.
I know. I'm loving that, John.
Wow.
Beautiful. And all the texture that you've got going on.
It looks a lot better on camera than it does in person.
I doubt that. I doubt that.
Nice.
It's usually the other way around. It's a little all over the place right now.
Oh wow. The axolotl is gone. You guys aren't working on it anymore.
We moved on.
I was looking at your axolotl, Cassandra, and I was wondering, because I have no reference for how large they are, especially based on what was the giant rodent that Adam was talking about earlier?
Capybara.
Capybara. I was wondering how large an axolotl could get before I'd be like, it's not cute anymore. It's terrifying.
You get like this big.
Okay. What do you think?
So like
At what size would you be like, too big? Stay away
2
from
feet.
me.
2 feet. Seeing
2
that at 2
feet,
feet,
you'd be like, that thing is creepy.
you get into blobfish land. Have you seen a blobfish? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Every once in a while they're at a grocery store and you're like, what is this? Am I thinking of the right one? Yeah, where it's
they
Monkfish. Monkfish are pretty horrifying in their fish form.
okay. Yeah, no, I've never seen a blobfish at a grocery store. What was it you just said, Adam?
Was it a monkfish?
a monkfish get pretty ugly.
They're pretty ugly.
Yes, it was monkfish.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Honestly, could be cousins. The blob and the monk.
Right. Right. And you would totally guess wrong which was the like more pious monastic.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I'm just you wouldn't look at the monkfish and be like, wow, you're really into caring for the poor and
oh yeah. No, the monkfish.
Oh, no. Xander posted, and monkfish is ugly. It's just ugly in a different way.
No, monkfish, I've never seen a more apropos situation. Monkfish or blobfish is Mario, monkfish is Wario.
I don't know. They seem so different to me.
As is Wario and Mario.
Right, but I think Cassandra is saying you don't even invite them to play the same game together.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're on different Discord groups.
They're different universes, different cinematic universes.
Yeah, like I mean, the nose on blobfish just cracks me up. Xander posted on Discord a monkfish.
Yeah, I'm staring at one right now.
Yeah, the monkfish doesn't tell remotely the same kinds of jokes the blobfish tells.
The monkfish, I was at a grocery store and they had it in Kansas City, not in a big metropolitan. I would understand it like in a big metropolitan city, I guess, where you'd be like, oh, there's, Michelin star chefs looking for some weird thing, but they've just got it at like the Hen House in South KC, and I was like, what? what's going on with this? And the guy behind the counter was like, I don't know, man. Like, and I go, how often have you sold one of these? And he was like, we've never sold one. And I was like, why do you guys keep getting them? And he's like, I have no idea.
Well, it's popular to cook with, I've heard. I've never cooked with one.
Oh,
Okay.
it's delicious.
But if you don't know what they look like, I feel like it just scares you off.
Yeah. I mean, granted, the fillet is it's amazing. But it's even as a fillet, it's like it feels like you're handling like a giant slug.
Well, I'm obviously not, I'm not
Even a
making
fillet
any,
of it.
I'm not making fun of the culinary aspect of it at all.
Right,
Or
right.
if anybody,
No, but I'm genuinely telling you, because it looks so ugly, people are afraid to buy it to cook
Yeah.
with it.
well, it also looks like it would be maybe a fairly advanced, like cooking, like mission. It seems.
Like
If I come up,
I always
in fact, next time I see a monkfish, I'm gonna buy it and have everybody come over and be like, I'm gonna prepare you a special meal, and then have them all, have them come over too early where they get to see the whole prep.
I will say I've held one before, but I've never cleaned one.
And just clearly have like a box of pizzas in the other room, right?
Right.
Like nobody knows about those though.
Yeah. No, they actually, so the nickname for the monkfish is actually the poor man's lobster.
Okay.
And that's really what its consistency is like as a fish.
That's
It's
funny
very-
because lobster was once a poor man's
right. It
Yeah,
was like
and
the
the
peasants.
crustacean.
Now, the irony is that monkfish now is an expensive fish because everyone found out it was called the poor man's lobster and it's delicious. So it's no longer the poor man's anything, but it is very good.
Because you
that's too
can't,
bad.
charge, $50 a plate if you call it the poor man's
Right,
lobster.
exactly.
Yeah, that's I think the I grew up with like Sicilian red sauces and basically just Sicilian food in general, which was always like the poorest ingredients, was the poor man ingredients for everything, right?
Right.
And almost everything that my grandmother used for her red sauce. I mean, you could have made a red sauce. She could have made a red sauce in like 2002. Oh, no, it's like 2005 with like $4, right?
Right.
In like meat and stuff. Like that's how cheap like oxtail.
Oh yeah,
and, like,
oxtail
oh,
used
yeah.
to be
and
so
neck
cheap.
bones. And oxtail is, we were doing a red sauce last week and I was doing a recipe. I had to go grab like 2 pounds of oxtail.
Oh, it's
like,
absurd.
like $60.
Yeah.
Oh, it was even cheaper for oxtail just 10 years ago because my mother-in-law makes a delicious oxtail soup and we haven't had it forever because it's just so expensive now.
And that is why I don't like these Michelin star restaurants.
Right.
That's what happened to Chilean sea bass.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's all overfished.
Yeah.
This is just like chefs doing it. It's not though. They weren't overfishing the oxtail. It was just chefs, chefs doing it and then like being like, this is our take on it, whatever. Anyways.
There's you know the restaurant, Timmy, Exwa. I used to go there frequently with your father and my father. And they would either have liver and onions
Yeah.
or oxtail.
Yeah.
And I stayed away from both. I did like the oxtail though, but it just wasn't really didn't fit me very well.
Love
It's your
oxtail,
cup of
liver and
tea.
onions.
No.
That's funny.
Somebody's asking if they have to paint their sketch. No, you can do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want.
We are syncing up tonight and looking like we all are painting.
Right.
But you use whatever you want. I remember I had a night when I was just starting Drawing Hive and I was using sidewalk chalk on like paper bags. So whatever you want to draw with, you draw with.
Ray, I had a question. Do you ever step outside of Adobe as far as your painting like this? Oh, you're muted. Maybe Ray might be busy.
Ray's got his intern working right now.
Yeah.
No, I was like, I had all these zingers I was saying. I was like, man, am I just not funny tonight?
Oh, I hate it when that happens and you think
Oh,
You think you've
Like
said something
Well,
profound?
talking over me.
What before you cook up those zingers again, I'm gonna just tell everybody we're moving on to the third and final. Yeah, we are. We're moving on to the third and final image. It's hashtag Drawing Hive 233, hashtag Drawing Hive and Add Visual Arts Passage. Please start posting it now. Don't wait till the end. You won't be able to do it fast enough. They won't show up, and then you'll blame me. Post it now.
I mean, you
Sorry,
make a great scapegoat for the algorithm, though.
To answer your question, Timmy, I like Procreate.
yeah.
That's about it. I mean, I've messed with the other ones. I have nothing against them. I'm just so comfortable with Photoshop because I can do a lot of painting and photo compositing, prepping references and
Right.
yeah. But yeah, it's the OG, which is hilarious to think that it was never really designed as a painting program.
Right?
No, I have to explain that to students all the time when they complain about like that they feel like it's sort of cumbersome or like, you know, they don't know. And I'm like, well, guys, that's because painting is like retrofitted into this, you know, a retouching pre-press program. Like
Right.
Layers didn't come till version 3.
Right. And like I remember just doing my 3 things that I knew at the time before I knew how to digitally paint in Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came to find out people were animating on it. I'm like, it's got an animate. You can animate it in Photoshop? And
Right.
at the timeline. Haven't you seen it? I'm like, no. What are you talking about? Timeline.
They're getting like kind of overrun though, right now.
It
Or do you think that that's kind of a? I'm not talking about whether or not we like them or we agree
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
choice. We're not going to talk about like, do we agree with how they're handling it or anything like that. It just seems like they got a lot more competition in the marketplace.
Yeah, they're not the you know, they're not the only one.
Not the only belle at the ball, which I think is good for them.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah, it's just great for everyone. And then
I think so.
And then on top of it, I think that they're like focusing on different types of people as customers.
Yeah. There are so many great programs. Tyler Jacobson, my buddy, he was messing around with Rebelle or Rebelle.
Never even heard of that.
Yeah, it was like Rebel with 2 L's and an E at the
Oh, it's definitely gonna succeed. It's so
Yeah, I
easy.
know, right?
It's so easy to tell your friends about it. Yeah.
But it's got some interesting like
Yeah.
almost like Corel Painter.
It's really cool. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
I got there. I did get there.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Affinity Photo. It's really more of a photo editing program. I think it's really great.
Yeah.
Although you could paint with it too. You could pretty much paint with anything, to be honest with you. It's not just get something Medibang paint. That's
Oh
a good
man,
one.
you immediately made me think of Meet the Parents. You could pretty much paint with anything, right? Oh really, right? You can paint with anything.
I immediately wanted to follow through with the actual quote, and I stopped myself. Just had this kitten.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Ray. I kind of.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just glad that it had nothing to do with my mic being muted. You just don't care for my zingers.
Yeah, I'm still using Adobe Premiere for all video editing. It's not surrounded with as much controversy as I think it is for like illustrators and painters, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, editors are just, you know, they're just less keyed into that. But
Also, you have entire studios that have like entire pipelines built.
Yeah.
Around.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the few that you're allowed to use, you know.
I know people ask me like I was always wondering what I gotten into 3D of the last, and I use Blender, it. But I'm like, why doesn't everybody use this? And I, found out from a friend like, oh, people pay thousands of dollars for Maya because it's good, but also because they have custom versions of it that just run in their studio, build all these tools for it. It's not going to say,
Wow.
Oh,
and they have support. They have an entire
Yeah.
engineers that help them out with anything that goes wrong. Like, you can't do that with an open source program like Blender. I call somebody.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, especially with how cloud-based so much of these products are, you're like it's totally possible. I'm trying to think if it's possible if there was like an Adobe hack. I think it's very likely that there could be an Adobe hack where I can't open my Adobe projects. I'm just wondering if it seems really highly possible,
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah,
like if you had
probably.
which doesn't seem like a big deal for somebody like me, but when you're working with like a major studio and you're talking about projects that really have to be like, in a what's the term for it? They have to be like lock and key. Like they have like special rooms that are literally
Right.
like what's that called? Not are they called
Like
canary?
Faraday cages.
Yeah, Faraday cage rooms for editors and stuff like that.
Well, those
Programmers.
I was under the I think I heard somewhere that those don't even have access, the ability to connect to the internet.
Surely no, yeah.
oh, that makes sense.
No, I mean the studio. I've been going into a new studio and working pretty regularly. Photographer who does a lot of directing, and they don't back up their final backup when they like close a project with a client. And these are big, you're talking about like something like the equivalent of would be like Nike or the biggest ones, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
Major liability when you're like housing these assets for them or you're like archiving them, like the original raw content, and they will, they have to have it like um whatever triple redundancy. That's the industry standard, which means two backups in one place and then one backup has to be in a third place. A lot of that's going to cloud, but the final backup, once everything is closed out, is on a film reel. It
What?
goes to film
Right.
that can be read. It goes to film that can be read by a digital reader. So it looks like a VHS tape.
Huh.
And it is the reason for that is that that will last longer than a digital hard drive by a mile.
I mean, that makes sense.
Mhm.
It's exposed to less risk. It's just really expensive to do.
So it's actual. What type of film is it?
I'll look it up. They look like little VHS cassette tapes. I'd never heard of it. I'd heard of it a long time ago that like somebody told me like if I started working with bigger clients that I would have to like I had to update to like RAID systems and stuff like that.
Right.
So I have two Drobo kits here, which they went out of business, which sucks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, oh no, that's
Yeah,
the
it's really bad. But I mean, I
bet
bought
on
them.
the wrong
I
horse
bought
on
them
that one.
probably got like 10 years out of them. I mean, they're the only hard drives I can joke about failing, and I don't even get nervous about them because it's like they can fail, and you just get new drives for them.
Right.
They're designed to fail, essentially.
Yeah, they tell you when they're about to fail, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even though they're out of business and the software is deprecating, it's really advanced. And I've had them fail while I was on a project, and it's pretty amazing. Essentially, the situation, it's 4 hard drives all in one system, and they all would have to fail for you to lose all the data. So yeah. If I toss it in my bathtub, it would fail. That would be one way to do it. I guess Gianna it could hypothetically fail. My wife could come in, pour a glass of water on them. Yeah. Have you guys ever had like? I mean, I'm assuming that's constantly a concern with like Cassandra getting ready for a show.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing bad can happen to the work, right? I mean, like, and how many pieces, and you're just like everything's got to get
Oh
to
my
the
gosh.
show.
Yeah. And
I
like
can't
my
imagine.
schedule right now is so tight. So yeah, I can't have anything fail at the moment.
Yeah,
Do
But
you
that means it's going to. Something will.
Yeah.
Sandra, are you uneasy? Until I was like, I am uneasy physically until all the work is out of my.
Oh, yeah. And then, I was already on a tight schedule and everything that could go wrong outside of my art process, um, just like kids got sick, then got sick again, then got sick again. And then like school got canceled because of weather and then water. Like it's just everything starts to stack up. And that's when I start to just be like, um, okay, I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to be like, I got this, but I'm starting to think I don't got this. And yeah, I just have to keep plodding along. And it's not until it arrives at the gallery that I can actually breathe.
Yeah. Like I'm never worried about the gallery, like something happening to the gallery.
Mm-mm.
I had a gallery in North Carolina, big flood. Uh, I don't know why I wasn't worried. But that like outside of that, I was more worried about the pieces in the studio.
Well, you know why? Because once it gets into their hands, like they've got insurance and then I didn't mess up.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I have the sort of mindset where like in a case like that, I would almost be thinking like, well, worst case scenario, I just sold out my entire collection to Allstate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Allstate's my biggest client.
Yeah. Then I know, like, I at least knew I did my part. I did what they were looking for, and I can't control the rest, but my quality and my capability at least got through it.
Right.
When you all have had to work with galleries and like trust like a new gallery with your work, because it's a huge amount of trust, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're sending them all of this work. A lot of it is if things were to go really poorly, like could be pretty devastating. Um, do you when you're doing that, do you guys have like kind of a protocol like for like your first meeting or like reading a person or kind of like do you follow like maybe gut feelings you have about a person where you're like, "Ah, it just didn't feel right, or I don't know. How do you vet for that?
Well, like one, there is a certain amount of being a gallery artist in general is just a gamble. So I depend upon contracts because that is an agreement put in writing
Mhm.
so that we know that we're on the same page. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I have contracts with all my galleries and I started working with a brand new gallery and they reeled me in because they have a great commission rate and like we talked about it. So I haven't met them in person because they're in
Uh-huh.
another state, but we emailed back and forth until I got comfortable and yeah, like things could still not work out, but things could
Right.
work out with galleries that I have been working with for a long time too.
Yeah.
But thanks to contracts, at least I know that we are in agreement and have terms understood.
Yeah. I think that what you said about that with like contracts, it's an agreement where it's like, okay, we're on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Like we both understand this, even though because I've gone to like lunch with people to talk about, okay, is this gonna work? And we talk out the whole thing, and we're like, yeah, this is great. And neither of you realize that you are not on the same page at all. Right?
Right.
And it's not really until it's like on paper and like and it's not like the accountability of it being on paper. It's just literally just like, okay, if they and I'm not talking about like really detailed like fine print contracts. I'm talking about just like a simple agreement that just says like this is how it's gonna work.
Like
Um
this is when we pay out from a piece selling. This is what the commission rate
yeah.
is.
It
Just an
literally
understanding.
it literally mitigates conflict.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people like I'll hear people often be like, just get a good contract. And then when they cross you, you just sue them. And it's like, oh, you have no idea like what the experience of like pursuing something like that is. It's
Yeah.
not pleasant. It's not cheap. And from my experience, both people usually lose. Like Pretty rarely, I think. I mean, it's not that sometimes it does, it works out great, but it's just like one more risk, you know. It's not an anti-contract thing. It's just when people say like they pretend like it's like the smoking gun or the magic bullet
Right.
that can save you, and it's like I don't know.
All right.
Everybody I know that's ever had to pull out the contract, it's so rare it goes well, unless it's just an intimidation tactic, which that does work sometimes, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I once got paid 9 months late by a gigantic company, and
Yeah. Well, that's good.
and they were basically, you know, they're
Yeah.
it became that was one of those first moments where I realized like, oh, the contract doesn't matter if you guys have better lawyers
Hmm.
or more
Right.
lawyers or deeper pocket, like,
Yeah.
and you know, 30% of whatever I'm trying to get out of you isn't enough for me to hire a lawyer for,
Right.
you know.
I
So
just had a conversation with a photographer that's work was stolen for a billboard in
Oh,
Times Square. And
Oh my gosh.
um but it was I was talking with them and I was literally like, this is too messy. Like I can see really strong counterpoints to why you would lose, like why you would lose this. And then I was like, how much money are you like, how much money would you have charged? Or how much money do you think you're entitled to? And they were like, I don't know, like 20 grand. I was like, not enough. Cause the person they want to sue is Spotify. Like,
Whoa.
good luck.
Spotify
And
knows a thing or two about getting stuff for free, don't they?
yeah, exactly. So like I was just literally like, you know, and it was complicated situation. It was a musician that they photographed, and the musician gave the photo to Spotify. Spotify used it thinking that the musician had the ownership, like the license to it. And it was just like, and my first advice was like, stop working with like
yeah.
it's literally any time I've ever worked with a musician, they did that, you know. I actually had a picture used by the Billboard 100 for a band called Cruella.
Huh.
They just sent it to them and they were like, yeah, you can use that image. And just like, yeah. I'm not saying you're not entitled to things. It's just, and you should always represent yourself well. It's just, I don't know.
What I don't get is that Spotify doesn't think to check up on that, you know?
See, this is where I kind of was like, I promise you, they have a they have a dialogue recorded with the artist that says, "Can we use this image?" I guarantee it. I
Mm.
was like, I guarantee this artist, the musician that they got it from, just was like, "Oh yeah, you can use it." And then the other thing was it was part of a mosaic, so it's just like good luck.
Oh,
It wasn't like a true mosaic. It was like one of like 5 images or 6 images. And so it's just like,
there's like
it's too complicated.
there's an artist that I know who found one of his, I don't know how it happened, but one of his paintings ended up as a backdrop in a Bollywood film.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, they did not pay for that. And so
Yeah.
what do you do with that? It's like, what do you track down?
Yeah.
Like
You
the
don't. I mean, yeah, an
tapestry.
international copyright pursuit. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just, I guess if you're
It's
filthy
expensive.
rich, if you're filthy rich and you want to literally take a gamble.
I had a former student who had Bud Light settle out of court with him for stealing his illustration for a promotion.
That's awesome.
And but the way he and this is funny, I don't know if you could do this now, but he was sort of just kind of savvy enough that
Yeah.
his friends just like flooded social media and Reddit and Facebook and Twitter, like publicly shaming Bud Light
Yeah.
until it, you know, became like newsworthy.
Yeah. Right.
Which is
That's a technique.
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah, no,
that's a
that
legit
works.
technique. Yeah, that's a legit technique that
Yeah.
also requires some magic.
Right.
But is I think lower risk than hiring your attorney. Because when your attorney does all of this work for you and then they lose, they're not going to be like, yeah, this was a tough one, but I'm sorry. Don't worry about it.
Right.
This is Adam, this is hilarious. Is this is your subject getting served papers? Is he getting deposed?
He's getting served, but I think he's ordering another
So
scotch.
the
on top.
conversation inspired the piece.
Oh,
Right.
I thought that this was like a deposition of
I was on the fence. I was on the fence on where he was.
Okay. I love it. That's so fun.
You know, John's was looking so beautiful, and I was scared of the tree kangaroo. That I thought the only way to deal with the okapi was to like tip him and do something else with his posture.
I'm pretty confident I have more paint on me than I have on the painting.
There, John.
I've been using these pastels, and I can't tell the color of them anymore. They've all turned to the same color because they've all melted in my hand.
Cassandra,
I like
that's so much fun. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Oh, nice.
Oh,
Still very much in the beginning of trying to figure this guy out.
There you go. Local color, local value. Can't beat it. Works every time.
Mm-hmm.
Even with markers.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it looks much bolder, that red on the camera right now, but like you just start to add as things get more comfortable.
I would love a children's book. Adam, I'm gonna pitch my children's book.
all
I
right.
got an idea. Yeah, Adam, I got it. You never heard this before. I got
I've
an
never
idea.
heard. It's
I've got a pitch. Maybe
crazy.
you
No one
can-
ever says that to me.
Okay, here
I
it
love
is. All right. The story focuses on a band of misfit animals that people generally don't believe are actually real or think that they're photo bashed. And nobody's making children's books about them. All the other
Like
cute
eye
animals-
eyes.
Right.
all the other cute animals are getting children's books. And these cute animals are just a little off.
Now, if I do this and it sells well, will you decide that it's not worth suing me?
I'll
Great question, Adam.
I will be playing this recording in court.
Adam, get paid up front, man. Get paid.
Right.
Louis, jury,
Timmy,
exhibit.
Timmy, I would
Exhibit A.
listen to your children's book ideas, and that's saying a lot because even I get inundated with them sometimes.
Oh
Do
my
people
gosh.
pitch you? People
Oh.
pitch you?
All
Really?
the time.
I get
What's
pitched
that?
all the time.
Do you have a memory of the funniest pitch you've ever gotten where it was just like a horrible pitch, but it's just great?
No, they're usually like
Just dumb.
comfortable for me, and it's like, I don't. I'm like, that sounds like another book that I read.
Oh, they pitch you books.
Yeah, they pitch you books idea. Like they have the idea, but I just, all they need is like an illustrator.
Right.
I'm thinking, I'm doing most of the work here. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Dayton, my very young comedian buddy, he's 22. He has an idea, and he sent me the script. He has a script on, and pitched the whole idea to me before he did it. And I literally was like, "Stop telling people about this. You can't tell anyone else about this. Stop. It's so good. It's so funny. Stop telling people about it because someone's just gonna steal it."
Yeah. Well, I mean, like
And I'm like never interested. You know what I mean? Like I'm always like, it sounds like you're passionate about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Like I usually need to see it to like appreciate it. And I was like, this is way too good, man. Don't tell anyone about it.
Yeah, one of the things that happens when people pitch things to you for like those kinds of purposes, they all actually do think that about their project. You know, like with a few exceptions. So I don't want to. There are people I've done projects with that I don't feel like I'm bad mouthing that, because some people are like very level and they know what they're doing and why.
Totally.
And but there are lots of people who are like very suspicious of you, that you're going to steal their best idea and make a million with it. And which I always kind of feel a little bit like, none of us actually make a million on anything, right? Like it's just not a number that we use.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody stole my photography and was like selling prints of it, right? Like from back in the day, I think my first question would be like, what kind of revenue are you generating with this? And
Right.
like, how are you doing it? Like, tell
Right.
me how you're doing it. Like,
It's working for you.
yeah, like, can I?
John Lennon photo of like him with the New York shirt. Ever seen that one?
Yeah.
You go to New York, go to Manhattan, you will see all on shirts, hats, keychains, frame photos, drawing. Wonder who. Couldn't tell you who the photographer was. Man,
I mean,
I'm sure they made.
I saw a there's a I wish I remembered, it's an Instagram painter that I forget his name, but he does these really fun oil paintings of like the golden era of television. So it's like Sopranos. It's just a lot of Sopranos, but some Seinfeld stuff. But I got served an ad and I was like, oh, it's so and so's art on a t-shirt. And I thought, surely they stole his work. And I messaged the artist, and sure enough, some company abroad, ripped the image and was printing it on a shirt. But it's like sales like that. It is hard to make sales stuff like that. And so there is a part of me that's like, are they actually, they clearly they are making success selling it. Like to run like an ad campaign on social, like, and like for it to make a good return is very difficult.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I wonder how that actually works, because I know some artists who have found out that there are these services that offer physical reproductions, paintings. They swipe some of their artwork.
Yeah.
So what
wow.
they actually ordered a copy of their own paintings.
Yeah.
To see how good it was.
I mean, obviously it sucks, and I'm joking about being like, I want to know how they're like, if they stole my work, I'd be like, obviously I don't like that they do that, but
No, I'm like, hey,
there is a part of me where I'm like, how does
yeah.
this sounds like, of all of the scams, if you were like, Timmy, we got to start a scam. If your scam was like, we're going to steal artwork from artists and like resell it on our own marketplace, I'd be like, that sounds like a lot of work.
Hey guys, this city.
What? Who was that?
What was that?
It was someone on the panel.
Something popped up.
Oh,
Well,
it scared me. I thought it was
I thought someone was offering us a deal on our, pirated artwork for a second.
I thought, oh, we've gotten raided by the guy that stole the artwork.
Right.
Yeah,
Finally
I mean,
happened.
all the panel knows my father, you saw some of his artwork, the room saw some of his artwork. I won't get into any details on this, but my father used to love saying this, that he was successful as an artist, very successful financially as an artist. And he always loved to say, he said, the most money I ever made on a painting was suing somebody for using one of my paintings.
I was thinking that I was thinking that the whole time I was talking, because he's the only person I know who did it. And he's the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Bernie. There's a whole section in the Bernie Fuchs book about how many times his artwork was offered.
The same. That's how my dad discovered his Bernie's wife, Babe. Realized the person that Bernie was suing for stealing his work was using images of my father's too.
Oh, wow.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah.
This is a really interesting, this kind of blew me away. This was after both of them had passed, and um, David Apatow told me, David's a curator of the Kelly collection, a really well-known, not curator, represents them legally. He's an attorney that knows a lot about illustration and very involved in it.
Kelly
And
collection is one of the big time,
it's the
very
biggest.
important collection of American illustration.
Yeah. So anyway, David said when the Fuchs estate was really well assembled. Actually, I've said this wrong. Bernie was still alive, and but they couldn't find when they were doing his book. David produced the book, the Bernie Fuchs book, and when they couldn't find certain images, he was asking questions. Where are these pieces? And they said, well, we don't know. They never came back from the client, and we chased them. We've never gotten anywhere. And so after Bernie passed away, these things started coming up on auction.
Whoa.
And so he, with the estate, would write them a letter and ask them how they acquired these paintings. They got back, I think the number was 18 original pieces that were stolen from him.
Whoa.
Odd.
Ad agencies just walking out the door. I don't know the exact number. I think that was the number I remember. But it was a pretty good number just by threatening them and asking them to prove how they acquired these pieces.
You know, Bert Silverman never got back the watercolor for the Aqualung album cover.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, and he never got any royalties from the T-shirt sales and the posters and any of that.
I get why they, they basically said, John, like, do you want to steal it? Because I get the like, well, maybe they'll never ask,
Right.
But then by
Yeah.
saying, how did you acquire them? At that point, okay, are you ready to commit the theft?
To prove that.
Yeah, because
Right.
because once you go down that path, now you're stealing. You're officially on paper stealing them.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, it is kind of like a gray area. Well, it's like, well, we just had them. Like they were here.
Well,
Which was
also,
a lot more common at that time because there was so much art, original
Yeah.
art generated. There was no value.
This exact thing happened with me, and when my dad died, it was an item that a person had that they thought we didn't know that they had it, and I had to drive across multiple states to go pick it up, and they just it happens, right? But John, it was almost actually exactly the same.
well, I also
Basically,
wonder
so how'd you get it?
how many people are actually paying attention. Like, I feel like this situation is actually in the rarity that they were paying attention to the auctions and saw that.
Right. I guess for them to go up on auction,
I've bought a few of my dad's paintings off auctions in the last 3 years, 4 years, and one that I know was stolen. I bought it. I had to buy it back. I couldn't prove it. The easiest way was I got a good value on it buying it, but it's artists are in an awkward position at times.
Everybody start posting your work to Instagram. It's hashtag Drawing Hive 233, hashtag Drawing Hive and Visual Arts Passage. Post it now. I'm also dropping those tags in the chat. Post it now. We are going to be checking this stuff out in 3 or 4 minutes, so don't wait.
Hey, before you do that, go around the room. I want to see Adam's.
No, we will. Yeah.
I love seeing everybody's work.
Gosh, Adam, you work so fast.
yeah.
I know.
I've toddlers, elves.
Wow, John.
Oh man.
Awesome job.
That looks so good.
Thanks.
Ooh, nice, Ray.
Ooh. Oh,
Damn.
ooh.
I'm scrambling to get something useful. Added color to it.
I've always wanted a visual arts passage, like what do you call that? Kind of not a spokesperson, but like an
Mascot.
animal, a mascot. Yeah. And of all the animal nights, this would be the
Oh,
mascot.
that's great.
So good.
That's so good, Adam.
Adam, congratulations on your new book, by the
Oh,
way.
thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it comes
know
out.
came out-
I got my first printed copy.
It looks so
Tell
good.
us about it.
Yeah, can you give us the name of it?
Pitch it.
That is, the aliens do not want to go home. Over the last like year or two, I've been like flashing you guys
Oh yeah.
paintings of it,
Mhm.
crop circles, and that sort of thing. Yeah, so it's really exciting to finally have it existing.
So,
Congrats.
you just got the first book. When is it like, is it,
Yeah,
so is, I mean, it's fully out? I'm,
No, it will fully be out in June.
Where
okay.
will people be able to get it?
June.
No, where?
Oh, where? You can order it anywhere.
Adam's like, in the future.
Anywhere. No,
Where?
I have no idea. We have no idea who or if anyone is carrying it. Of the big customary places.
Yeah, but it's going everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're better off just going to your favorite bookstore and ordering it.
Nice.
And if you go to the Evil Empire and order it, I still get the same royalty in this contract. So,
But wouldn't it be nice?
Nice.
To not go to Evil Empire?
yeah, it would be. I mean, go to your independent if you have one. But it was funny. There was a stretch where when Amazon was underselling everyone by like 40% on cover prices, all the publishers renegotiated all the new contracts were no longer based on cover price; they were based on net receipts. And so then, if you ordered a book from Amazon, you only got like half the royalty because of the deeply discounted rate they bought at. But now that Amazon charges you full price for books again, newer contracts tend to be based on cover price instead of net receipts again.
Man, I hate that strategy that they took that, which is like an age-old strategy, but
Yeah.
just be like,
Feels
they were just
wrong.
like, you're like, you know what industry I would like to destroy? Local bookstores.
Right. Right.
Look at him making all that money.
Yeah.
Driving
Look at it.
Ferraris.
Yeah. You know what I would like to get rich doing? I would like to become one of the wealthiest people in the world doing destroying local bookstores.
Yeah.
You're like, you're at a cocktail party, you're like, that bald guy's insane.
Right.
He's a monster. Yeah. No, that is such a bummer. I'm
Right. So if you have a local bookstore,
yeah,
you can pre-order The Aliens Do Not Want to Go Home, the follow-up to The Froggies Do Not Want to Sleep.
A logical follow-up with frogs,
Right.
personally.
the Gustavson trilogy.
Exactly.
Really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what's next? How are you going to compete with that? Those.
Well, the thing is, at the end of every one of them, there's like a straggler who gets dragged into the next book. So the
Nice.
frogs
Setting up the
basically
verse.
imagine that they've gone to outer space and met aliens, and now the idea is that when you're playing and you're imagining things, you go to sleep, and the next day you wake up and there's something you remember that you were playing from the day before that you want to pick up on. So an alien comes back with the frog. So the next book is about aliens, and the aliens may or may not suck up farm animals at the end.
Oh, I know the cow illustration I saw.
I love that because you are creating an Atom cinematic universe.
Yes.
You guys ready to see some art?
Yeah.
Let's do it. I think the axolotl. Am I saying it right? The
Yeah.
axolotl?
You're right.
Okay.
Oh, axolotl. Ooh, Alberto, that's
Nice.
fantastic.
Amazing.
Look at that.
Jealous.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Adrian.
nice. There's that silhouette.
Mm-hmm. That's great,
so
Jeff.
fun. Love
Look
it.
at you,
wow,
Gary.
Gary.
You just
Awesome.
went all out and you're like, I'm going to make it all work in
Gary did a montage. Come on, dude.
montage.
Montagifying.
Great
So
job.
good. So good.
I don't know what it signals.
Ooh, that's
Look at that
lovely.
Oh,
one.
wow.
Oh my gosh.
And
Ah,
Marcy, I like that you
Marcy.
gave it the cheeks. I was hoping you would give it the rosy cheeks.
Yeah.
That's so great. Look at that.
Love it.
Oh,
Really
nice.
nice.
Whoa, look at that one.
Oh,
Whoa.
Sally.
Sally?
That gets
Yeah.
a whoa.
Dang,
Sally?
That gets a
girl, that's good. Ooh,
Oh,
that's
that's
good.
nice.
nice.
Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Great job.
It's great too.
Love the expression.
Yeah.
Really
There you
nice.
go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
There you go.
Great job.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun.
It's such a cute animal.
I love
It's
this
It is.
got such a-
expression.
It's got such a dumb face, but you're like, if it was big enough, it would eat us.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, I wish I was big enough to eat him.
Really fun.
Nice.
Oh, that's
Oh
cool.
my
Oh,
gosh,
wow.
that's awesome.
Wow.
Oh, I love the zip tone for the spots on his eyes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
that's really
Great
great.
job.
so cool.
Really good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice, Meryl.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
Wow, Randy.
Wow, Randy.
Fantastic.
Loggy's on.
Yes.
Yes.
The cloth
Love
feet on that
it.
one is the
those are
wildest.
great.
Really nice.
Nice. It's ready for his close-up.
Great
Oh,
job.
wow, that's
Good
lovely.
hands on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Really nice.
Nice. That's
Ooh,
great energy.
That's
great
beautiful.
penmanship.
Very
Nice.
fast.
Nice,
Very
Terry. Love it.
See, silhouette, light in the background. It's still,
Mhm.
still
That's
hangs in
great.
there.
Oh,
That's good too.
Look at that.
That's
oh,
great.
Eric.
Wow.
Wow.
Ooh.
That reminds me of Thomas
Beautiful.
Blackshear, The Watcher.
Yeah.
Mm.
Don't tell him that. He's in my portfolio class. Head's gonna be so big.
Oh, nice, George.
I can hear him now.
Nice.
Ray
Yeah,
said I
Eric.
was as good as Thomas
It's-
Blackshear.
It's
Yeah,
Mr. Eric to you.
Yeah.
I'm totally teasing Eric. He's terrific.
Great job.
Yeah. That's cool.
Look at that.
That's
That's
awesome.
great.
Oh, I love how you handled that.
Great.
Oh, that's so much
Really
fun.
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Look at it, they made it.
Oh, that's
They made
great.
it.
They made a
They
full
made-
aquarium experience.
It's like little people.
I
That's
feel like
so
I-
awesome.
I feel like I art directed this one a little bit.
Fantastic.
But they brought it to a level I could never have imagined.
I realized it.
Oh,
That's
that's,
beautiful. Beautiful.
Ooh. Oh, that's
Great.
great. Spork Doodly. I love the name.
That's great, Karen.
Great job, Karen.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's
Some
fun.
hearts.
Oh my God, they got the
corrugated, isn't it?
That's Juan.
there it is, the cardboard. What was that one? Go
Yeah.
back. Go back. One. That's awesome. man.
Nice.
Love
Wow.
that.
Great job.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was once. AJ
Look at that.
AJ's taking a class. You're gonna be hanging out with AJ in class this weekend, which is exciting
Oh, wow.
because it was a surprise that we had to sit on for a long time. And I was sure when they were like, please don't let him find out, I was like, this is a nightmare. There's no way. It was
Oh, great
a
job, Terry.
surprise. Great stuff.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Nice, George.
Love it.
Yes.
The
Tamarind right
monocle
after-
was a chef's kiss.
Oh,
children.
yeah.
I'm
Right
nervous
after he
about
destroyed
Saturday.
all
Got
those-
all these good students.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely.
That's
Good for you.
great.
Lucky I got
Really
Dan.
nice. Really nice.
That's great.
Oh, that's nice.
Beautiful. I'm impressed by how many people are doing these in color too. Wow.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh,
Look at that
Oh
one.
my gosh, the bubble
Yes,
head.
yes,
Yes.
I love that.
That's, where's
That
the
one's so much
woe? Can I
fun.
get a woe for that, Timmy?
I'm
That's a
working
great
on
one.
it. Yeah.
Downward
That
pit
one-
the
Yeah,
one
what
night
is
not
it?
to work.
Whoa. Whoa.
It's
I
There
can't.
it is.
I can't.
It works.
It always shuts
Downward
down
works.
like halfway through, you know? It worked earlier. It's just
Great job.
Yeah.
Really nice.
So
Oh,
good.
thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Go Queen Goose.
Right. Ooh.
Really nice. I
That's
love their
awesome.
faces.
Mm-hmm.
They got
Nice,
Sander.
Sander.
People got really
Sander.
fun with this one. I love it.
Oh, that's oh wow.
Oh, John, that's
Wow.
Beautiful.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Also
Really
awesome.
nice. Really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Nice.
that's great.
That's great, Tyler. Ooh, nice, Aaron.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a pretty
Wow.
close contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say
Wow.
it's evenly dispersed, Timmy.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'd say the least amount was the tree kangaroo. That's
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it was two figures.
Oh, yay.
Beautifully done.
Love
Wow.
wow,
it.
George, that's great.
Love it.
Great job.
Excellent, Jeff, as always.
Oh, I'm glad that the clawed feet got their own
Their own panels.
panel. It's fun.
Amazing. Amazing.
Fantastic.
So great.
Great
Nice.
job. Oh, so cute.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
This looks
So
like it could
good.
start a yacht rock band.
Right.
You know,
Love it.
right? Doesn't it?
Right.
Beautiful.
Really great, Terry.
It's awesome.
Oh,
Awesome.
great job. So good.
That's so good. I love it.
Yes.
What a nice
I
one
love
to
the
end on.
apron.
Yeah.
That was an awesome one to end on. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I just want to remind everybody, if you are thinking about classes, or if you have more questions, go to visualartspassage.com, or you can just call or email the school. Any email you find, hello@visualartspassage. It goes right to me. We'll help you out. We'll answer any questions you have. And classes start Saturday and Sunday. So
Whoop, whoop.
have a nice weekend, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you,
Great
everyone.
week.
Fun hanging out with you all.
Everyone.
Bye.